What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for October 15th, 2023. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. It is game day, but before we get into today's episode, a quick housekeeping note. New Back to the Future, I posted it yesterday afternoon. Go check it out. Back to the Future with a PH. We take a look at the Hall of Fame candidacy of Jimmy Rollins and Dick Allen and see if they deserve to be in and ultimately whether or not they're going to actually get in someday. So go check that out wherever you get your podcast. Back to the Future with a PH. I'm also pleased to announce we have another partner. Still working with Philly Goat, but our new partner is carcan.com. And honestly, it's what a great thing. And if your kids are anything like mine, the back of your car or your truck or whatever is a hot mess. So Carcan, it's a trash can, it's a cup holder, it's a storage, it works as a cooler. Go check it out, carcan.com, and help clean up the back of your cars with the kids. All the information you need is in the link in the description. But if you go to carcan.com and use the promo code Jim Montgomery 20 off, you'll get 20% off your order. They have all kinds of cool products there just for organizing and keeping your cars clean. And again, my kids are slobs. Like the back of my truck is a mess. So this is a huge thing. Go check it out, carcan.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery 20 off for 20% off of your order. That's carcan.com. All right. Phillies news. The rotation is set, and they're going to be in good shape for this series. Obviously, the Diamondbacks are hot, and we'll get more into that tomorrow. But the pitching, they got Wheeler's going to be pitching on 2 extra days rest, Nola on a day's rest, extra day, Ranger on an extra day, and then they're still deciding between Walker and Sanchez as who's going to be the 4th starter. But really looking forward to getting back into some baseball. It was nice to have a couple days off, but I am looking forward to it. More on this series tomorrow. Temple, my Owls, they're just a bad team. 45-14. We'll move on. I know E.J. Warner didn't play, but they are just not a good team. Moving on. All right, Sixers news. More from that interview with James Harden. He is saying that, obviously he said he's going to play, but he's not happy. He still wants to trade it. But I will say that he does like the way Nick Nurse coaches. Called him a player's coach, and definitely has a lot of energy and it's a breath of fresh air, and which is good. They need something like that to get that losing stench out. And it seems like from all accounts of what I'm hearing, that Nick Nurse is that guy, and he's doing that. So looking forward to it. Less than 2 weeks now before the Sixers start. Again, I don't know. Maybe we see a different James Harden. I'm still, unfortunately, I'm waiting for the other shoe to fall on this one. Flyers lost 5-2. Penalties killed them. They could not stop the Senators from scoring on the power play, and then they could not score on their own power play. But you have things like this with a young team. Their home opener is Tuesday. Got pushed up due to the Phillies game. They play at 6 on Tuesday. Going to be a madhouse down there, but should be a good time. All right, before we get into today's This Day, it is Eagles game day, and not really a lot of buzz going into this game. The Eagles have a lot of injuries. Slay's out, Jalen Carter's out, and I don't know. I keep going back and forth on this, and it's set up to be the perfect trap game because they have Miami at home next week, but the Jets have never beaten the Eagles all time, and they're not a good offensive team, and I think that the depth of the Eagles is Zach Wilson's not going to beat them, and I look for Jalen Hurts to have another strong game. I feel like it's going to be it's going to be a boring game, probably one of those games where all of a sudden you're like, oh, they're up this much, huh? But we are 4-3 on the year on our bet. Right now, the spread as of 10 minutes ago was 7 on DraftKings. The over was 42.5. My lean is the under in this game. I just don't see the Jets scoring enough points, but I'm not going to make that official. The Eagles minus the 7, I think they roll away with this. I think we're looking at like a 24-7, 30-6, somewhere in that range. So take the Eagles minus the 7. I just, like I said, I can't see Zach Wilson doing enough to beat this team, and I think the offense is going to come out and they're gonna be okay. Yeah, so take the Eagles +7. That is our official bet. And again, like not a lot of handicap for this game because defensively, I think the Jets are a little bit banged up. They do have Sauce Gardner, but I think the Eagles just have too many weapons, and the rest of that secondary is depleted. So I look for Jalen to have a good game passing the ball. And like I said, I think the Eagles just pull away with this one. Not going to be a very entertaining game. All right. Be sure before the game today, it's a 4:25 game. Check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Very, very heated. And like I said, I've been saying all week, the hate is real. So go check out the Clashing Conferences podcast wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. All right. Today, we're going to go to 2009. And on this day, back in 2009, it was the NLCS Game 1, Dodgers versus Phillies. Clayton Kershaw versus Cole Hamels. Raul Ibanez and Carlos Ruiz each had 3-run homers to lead the way to the Phillies' 8-6 win. Kershaw kind of blew up in the 5th inning. He had 3 wild pitches, which set the record for most wild pitches in an inning in a playoff game and tied the record for most in a total game. Excuse me. He just completely imploded that game. The Phillies would lose Game 2 out there in L.A. and then come back home to Citizens Bank Park before they won 3 straight to go back to the World Series and had that great series against the Dodgers. Just could not get the job done. But on this day, back in 2009, Phillies beat the Dodgers 8-6 in Game 1 of the NLCS, setting the stage for a back-to-back trip to the World Series. All right, continuing with our Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame focus this week. Again, great organization. If you want information on this year's induction class, go to philadelphiasportshalloffame.org. Get ticket information, the 20 for 20 that they're doing, as well as information on this year's inductees. If you want information on past inductees or how you can help and volunteer for the, help them out, go to phillyhall.org. But I mentioned yesterday that we have the 5 guys that I think are going to ultimately end up in the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame someday. We talked about Bryce. We talked about Jason Kelce was the guy I could not remember yesterday. Today, we're going to go back to that, and I think this one, eventually he'll be in too, and that's Joel Embiid. He was the 3rd overall pick in 2014, basically sat out 2 years. And it ended up ultimately being a big win for the Sixers. MVP last year, 6-time All-Star, 2-time scoring champ. Just pretty much a dominant force. He did have some injury problems early in his career, but the past couple of years he's been fairly healthy, knock on wood. But he does seem to get a lot of freak injuries. But he hasn't been able to get them over the hump. Part of that is him. Part of that, though, is just not having the players around him. I mean, you had Ben Simmons who hid. You have James Harden who just, I don't know what you want to make of that. The best team they had was that team, I think, that lost to Toronto. But again, a lot of it is the front office, but I think that Joe is one of the all-time best to play in Philly, and I think we're seeing the prime of his career, so hopefully they're going to be able to do something. But he is a guy that one day will be in the Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame. Put him up there with Jason Kelce and Bryce Harper as new or soon-to-be additions after they retire. And again, we cannot talk about the place where all the GOATs of Philly sports live without talking about the GOAT of Philly sports apparel, phillygoat.com. Still love the partnership we have with them. Get your Phillies gear up for the NLCS and hopefully a World Series run. Get your Eagles stuff. Sixers getting ready. Flyers are underway. Union, they've had about a week or so off, but they have one more game before their playoffs. So go to phillygoat.com. Check out their wide selection of apparel. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery for 10% off of your order. That's phillygoat.com, the GOAT of Philly sports apparel. All right, so on this day, back in 2009, the Phillies beat the Dodgers 8-6 in Game 1 of the NLCS. to lead eventually to win that series 4-1. Chooch and Raul Ibanez each had 3-run homers. Eagles take on the Jets today. I think it's going to be a snooze game. I think the Eagles just walk away with it. I cannot see them losing this and falling away falling to the Jets. Even though it is it's set up to be that classic trap game, but I think they might sleepwalk through the first half and pull away at the end. Keep you posted with the Sixers and any updates on the James Harden situation. We'll have an NLCS preview tomorrow on that show where we recap the Phillies game as well. Be sure to check out our new friends at carcan.com. It's a trash can, it's a cooler, it's storage, it's whatever you want. But again, if your kids are anything like mine, this is a must-have. And use the promo code Jim Montgomery 20 off for 20% off. It's a great Christmas present. Go check it out, carcan.com. Be sure to use the promo code Jim Montgomery 20 off. Also, check out the latest Back to the Future where we look at Jimmy Rollins and Dick Allen's Hall of Fame cases. It's going to be a beautiful day after the rainy day yesterday, so get out and enjoy it. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Sunday, and until next time, go Birds.